Hello, everyone. Welcome to unit number 2 of operations management. In this unit, we're going to be talking about project management and we're going to be practicing a little bit of the planning of a process. So, I need you to pay attention. You need to watch this video because if you don't watch it, then you won't know how to do the assignment of this week, which is not complicated, but again, you have to use your brain. Okay, very good. So, first of all, when we're talking about project management, give me 1 second. When we talk about project management, we're talking about how to maximize the process, how to make it more efficient. So, let me put a very simple example, which is the construction of a building. So the construction of a building has a certain process. There you have to follow a certain structure. You cannot put the windows before you put the whole building, right? So in project management, we have to consider that, but we have to think that perhaps while we are constructing the building, we are getting the supplies for the windows. That is possible, right? So, and this is what we're talking about in project management. First of all, we need to do a plan. We need to understand how long it's gonna take, what are the goals, who is involved, and who's doing what. Actually, when you guys do your projects, usually you don't do this. You kind of divide your tasks and kind of arrange something, but in reality, it's very messy. So your planning is poor, and that's why the outcome of it is working on last minute, and that's never going to work. So scheduling, the same thing. You have to follow the schedules. You already set who is doing what and when. So then you have to follow and control that happens as per your original plan, right? Which, like I said, mostly never happens. But anyways, you should do it in that sense. Okay, so how do you do? In this case, you have the before, schedule the project, and controlling. Controlling is the most important thing because there's no point that you say, okay, you need to submit these documents by the 3rd of August. And then on 3rd of August, I check with you and like, sorry, I couldn't do them. So that's it. No. Why? Because baby, people's waiting for that information. So again, this is importance in project management that we fulfill the things when we need to do them and then we monitor them. So in this case, we have a couple of areas in here, which is first of all the work tasks. Who is doing what, right? It's important when we're doing the project planning. This is helpful. If we have never done this job before, the project is planning because the project planning is good because at least we don't know because we haven't done it before, but at least we have strategy to do it. So again, this one, if we're familiar with the project, at least we are organized, and that's better than never have done it before and just see how it goes. That doesn't work at all. The same thing, we have complex interrelated tasks. So if we have a dependency on activities, we need to plan them and schedule them properly. Again, like I said, in a construction, you have many activities to do, and if you don't plan them and schedule them, most likely they will end up being done late. Also, project planning is important because it is temporary but critical. Okay, so that means maybe, like I said, with the construction of this building or this asset or this etc., it's critical because if we don't finish this factory on time, we don't have the supplies that we need to produce for manufacturing. So in this case, we have to do it. And again, project cuts across organizational lines. We need to plan it because this is not only the labor of marketing. We also have finance involved. We also have operations. We also have the suppliers. We have many things, so they are back and forth depending of each one. Say I want to order the supplies, but I need finance for the money. Finance, how much budget you have? Let me ask marketing. I need to how many employees I need to do this project? ask operation. So you see how everything is interdependent, and that's why I need to plan it properly. Okay, very good. So now, for this matter, what we do is before starting the work, we do a work breakdown structure. What is a work breakdown structure? Here we have, I don't have the work breakdown structure. Well, anyways, so in a work breakdown structure, what we have is who is gonna do what, okay, which departments are in charge of doing the certain things, and how, and who is gonna do them. Okay, so in this case, for example, on the work breakdown structure, we say, okay, we have a major task and we're gonna subdivide it. This is gonna go to marketing department, and then in charge is gonna be Daniel and Alex. Okay, and this one goes for the finance department, and in charge who's gonna be there, etc., etc. So that's why to do a work breakdown structure is, first of all, break down the work, and then after that, when we have done the breakdown of the work, let me read. We also have to say, for example, we have to do here, for example, the planning. Then we have to do, for example, the development, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so in this case, we can see how I moved. In the work breakdown structure, we have to, wait, let me get out of this one. In the work breakdown structure, what we do is break down and say exactly what people is going to do. The more clear it is, the better it's going to be for the employees, because they know where to do it, when to do it, how to do it, and what is exactly their responsibility. What happens if, for example, I say, you have to do a project? So I have to give you instructions of when, where, how many resources you need, what you need to spend, etc., etc. So that you have to think of that, right? The same thing, the project scheduling, which is usually we use a Gantt chart. In a Gantt chart, what we do is we know already with the work breakdown structure who needs to do what, and in the Gantt chart is when they need to finish. And we have a clear understanding of understanding of this activity starts when and finishes when. Let's say, for example, if I am doing the construction, once I finish the flooring, then I can start already perhaps the wallpapers. Once I finish that, in the meantime, I can be ordering some materials, and here we need to schedule when. This one, for example, is saying when it needs to be done. So this one, for example, I can say here, I can say it in a very simple way. I need to finish by the 23rd of October. Okay, it's horrible, but anyways, so I need to finish by this one, and this is critical, for example, because for starting certain activities, for example, here the passengers boarding, say I had to finish all these activities, otherwise I cannot start it. So it's a graphical way of understanding who's doing what, when we need to finish, and have that sense of urgency and control of what's going on. If you don't have control what's going on, then there's no possible way that you can monitor whether you're doing well or not, right? Very good. Okay, so in this case, we have the project controlling, and we have, for example, PERT and CPM reports. So in this case, for example, in this PERT or CPM is we have different reports that say how long it's going to take, what labor requirements, our summaries, raw material, variance reports, what has been wrong, time analysis reports, and work status reports, which is constantly checking how we're doing, how much we're spending, what is failing, what we corrected, so that if in the future we have another similar project, we can use this as a reference as well. Okay, very good. So in this case, for example, we use the PERT and CPM, which is the Program Evaluation and Review Technique, and the Critical Path Method. So in this case, what we're gonna do is graphically, we say, well, we have, for example, activity A, activity B, activity C, right? Hold on, mind, it should be the same. But anyways, so can I do A and then B, and once I finish A and B, I can start C, okay? So this is what pretty much PERT and CPM do, which is once I finish this activity, this didn't work, then I'm gonna start this activity. Never mind. We're gonna see them in my activity. Okay, I'm gonna just show it in a better method. Okay, so when we do this, the project management techniques, we can know very simple things, which is well, we have to follow these basic steps in order for this to happen, to plan that structure of what happens first and what's next and 1 second and how long it's gonna take to finish. We have to do the work breakdown. Why this keeps on working like that? And wait, give me a minute. I don't want to click that. Sorry about that, guys, but sometimes these things are stupid. So what? So we have to prepare the work breakdown and structure. We need to understand which activities have a relationship and whether A goes and then B, or whether A and B can be done together, or how that works, right? I cannot eat and take a shower at the same time, right? But I can listen to music and shower at the same time. So think of this, and then of course in project management, this is pretty much how it works. So we're gonna draw the network and see how the activities are all connected to each other. We're gonna assign them time, and then we're gonna see the critical path, which is a path where we shouldn't make any mistakes at all, okay? And then of course we're gonna monitor the activities little by little. Okay, very good. So in this case, like I said, we will know when the project will be completed, which tasks are late, what are activities that if I delay them, nothing happens because they are not critical. And then also I will know when will likely the project will be completed. Also, I will know if I behind schedule and what I need to do in order to come back on time. I also will know if I'm spending or I need to spend more resources, more monetary resources to make things happen faster, which is, for example, when we want to make things happen faster, we call it to crash a project, meaning valley. We need to finish very quickly so that we can continue doing something else, or we have to deliver it. So maybe we need to spend more money, more employees, more resources to finish that as quickly as possible. Okay, very good. So in this case, we're going to talk about network diagrams. We're going to be using activity on node, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. So I need you to pay a lot of attention. So in this case, for example, is a path. It is going to say, for example, A and B can be done at the same time, but C depends on A, D depends on A, D depends on B, right? But C doesn't depend on B. See? So we're going to talk about that now. Okay. So for example, here we have a case of Milwaukee paper. I want you to read it. I'm just going to go through the activities. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but anyways, in this case, we have a couple of activities in here. Okay. So in this case, first of all, we do the work breakdown structure, which is what activities are we going to do? So we have activities A, B, C, D, E, all the way to H. Okay. In this case, we have the description of each one of them, and we're going to see whether this activity A needs a previous activity to be done. So in this case, for example, to take this class, you had to go through semester 1, no? Your freshman. You had to do your freshman. So it has a prerequisite. So in this case, for example, does A has a prerequisite? No. Does B has a prerequisite? No. C has a prerequisite? Yes. I have to finish A first in order for me to start C. D, do I need something? Yes, I need to finish A and B in order for me to start D. Now E, I have to finish C. Now F, I need to finish C. G, I need to finish D and E. And then to start H, I need F and G. So you see, there's some activities that have no predecessor. So if nothing goes wrong, nothing happens. But all these activities have a predecessor, meaning if I go slow on A or on B, it's gonna delay my whole project. Okay, so that's very critical, because a delay means money all the time. Money or time, because sometimes it's not about much money, but time, which is also sometimes we are paid to finish a certain project on a certain time, or we have deliverables. Okay, very good. So in this case, for example, we have this case. So, and then we have to calculate how long we will need to finish this project. So in this case, for example, first of all, we're gonna know, the first thing is how many weeks we need to finish this project, okay? Without scheduling. You see, if I were to do all the activities in sequence without planning, it will take me 25 weeks, meaning if I do A, B, C, D, one by one, it's a total time of 25 weeks. So as a project manager, what do I want to do is maximize that time and probably see if I can do some things at the same time, multitask, and try to finish faster, okay? So in this case, let's see, for example, here, for example, if I do a proper planning of the activities in different ways, if I do scheduling properly, what's going to happen? I'm going to reduce from 25 weeks to 15 weeks, okay? Because I'm doing those two things at the same time, these two things at the same time. This one is sequenced. This one also is sequenced. This one doesn't depend on this one, but it's sequenced from this one. And then we can do these two at the same time. Okay, so you see there's 1, 2, 3 activities that I can do at the same time, and that's going to reduce my time to 15 weeks. So if you come to your boss and say, boss, I planned everything accordingly, and I realized that instead of us spending the original 25 weeks, I can narrow it down to 15 weeks. Your boss going to be happy? Yes, very happy. Your professor of operations management gonna be very happy. If you finish on time, of course, he's gonna be very, very happy, right? So in this case, we have that one, and then we're gonna use some calculations to do that, right? We're gonna call this the earlier start, earliest finish, latest start, and latest finish. You don't need to memorize those things because we're just gonna do them in a very, very easy way. And the first thing we're gonna do is a forward pass. Okay, so that means very simple thing. That is, we're gonna move into that direction. That is a forward pass. And if we move on the other way, we call it a backward pass. Let's talk about this on action, not on text. Okay, anyways, let's look at this one. Okay, so anyways, first of all, what we're gonna be using is these nodes. Okay, so we call them nodes. Okay, and this is how we organize them in 6 parts: earlier start, latest start, earlier finish, latest finish, and the activity duration and the activity name of symbol. So in this case, you have always to have this, you have to organize always your squares exactly in this way, where you have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the name of the activity. Okay, all right. Okay, very good. So now, okay, very good. So now Let's go through this one, through this exercise a little bit. Let me explain it as a whole, how it works. I'm gonna do it in a much easier way for you. Let me